Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session, Supercharging Your Team's Workflow with the Netlify app for Slack. Before we get started, I just have a few quick announcements. First, you can ask your questions at any time in the chat. We've reserved time at the end to answer them. And second, I'd like to remind everyone of our code of conduct available at jamstack.org/code-of-conduct. We'll also be dropping a link in the chat. Please be kind and respectful with your questions and commentary. And with that, let's go ahead and get started with introductions. Joel, would you like to kick us off?
Sure thing. Thank you for having me. So I'm Joel, and I'm the Director of Product at SmartCar. We're an API platform that allows developers to build applications that connect to millions of vehicles around the world.
I'm Jason Berry, also go by JB. I'm a principal engineer at Netlify, and I was the lead engineer for the Slack app, the Netlify app for Slack.
And hi, I'm Melanie Richards. I'm a staff product manager here at Netlify, and I was part of the product team that was working on the Netlify app for Slack. So collaborating with Jason and other folks on our team, and happy to be here today.
And I'm Kat Allen, Senior Product Marketing Manager here at Netlify and part of the go-to-market team for the Netlify app for Slack. With that, let's go ahead and get things started. So Melanie, as the product manager who helped bring this app to life, can you help us level set by sharing a bit more about what this app does and why we created it?
Sure, yeah. At Netlify, we're always looking for ways to accelerate teams like time to production and your ability to deploy to production in a low risk way. And so that's what we were kind of aiming for with the Netlify app for Slack. We want to bring the Netlify platform to the channels that you already collaborate in as a team, so that you can kind of, reach that go-to-market point faster and more securely. So there's a few different, main pieces of functionality in the Netlify app for Slack. A big one of those is notifications. So teams can subscribe to a quite wide set of notifications now. This includes deploy notifications. That's a classic one. Being able to pick and choose, which deploy states you want to know about in Slack, as well as the deploy context that those are running in. You can also keep track of activity comments in the Netlify drawer, which is the collaboration space that we have in deploy, preview environments on Netlify. And you can also track changes to various different things like team membership, lots of different configuration, items, as well as resources like domains and environment variables. So one thing that's really nice about, how this is all set up is that you get to pick and choose what you subscribe to. So, what's important to your team versus what's going to just generate a lot of noise. That's totally in your wheelhouse. So in addition to just keeping track of how your team is using Netlify and what's going on there, we know that it's hard to like keep track of all the different changes to your tech stack. You know, things are changing in technology all the time. So we have like the Netlify changelog in the home tab of the Netlify app for Slack. So if you want to see, hey, here's the things that have launched recently that we might be able to take advantage of, those will be at your fingertips. And we also have in the app the Ask Netlify chatbot. So this is an AI-powered chatbot that you can invite to a channel. You could just say, hey, at Netlify, tell me about this like blobs thing that Netlify has on the platform. And so that will pull from docs and other public comms to give you the answer. And the chatbot responds like in the thread where you asked. So it kind of keeps your channels clean, but also makes sure that like other people on your team have access to the same information. So yeah.
That's awesome. So much functionality in one small app. So Joel, I understand that your team at SmartCar uses this in the real world. Can you share more about how your team uses it and some of the benefits you've experienced?
Absolutely. Yeah, we've been excited. We've like I know Melanie for a while, and she mentioned, you know, the possibility of doing this early testing, and I was very excited for it because one of the benefits is that as your team grows, now that communication sort of becomes harder, and the product team is sort of like waiting for an update from engineering team to say, hey, like this things that we've been working on, here's a preview of it. And sometimes, you know, people, I think, overestimate how much time that can take. And so when you add it all up, it can be quite a bit. But with the Slack integration, one of my favorite things is that that problem goes away, because every time that there's an update to our site, our team can essentially see like progress in real time. And then, you know, with having multiple projects, that also helps because we separate it into multiple channels so that different teams involved in these projects can have the visibility for their respective sites. So it's been pretty exciting to see and use the notifications in Slack.
That's awesome. So it sounds like enhancing productivity helps you save time. And that's something that we at Netlify are super passionate about, is shipping things fast. So JB, as the lead engineer on this project, I'd love to understand more about the difference between legacy webhooks and this new Netlify app for Slack.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's a great question. So if you've been a Netlify customer for a while, you might have seen our webhook-based Slack notifications. And those were good, but it required a lot of kind of tedious setup. You had to actually create a Slack app of your own and configure it to accept incoming webhooks, and then do a lot of copy pasting of like URLs. You'd copy a URL from Slack's interface and then paste it over into Netlify's interface. And you have to do that for each site. So now that's all in the past. You can just get up and running in a few clicks going through an OAuth flow. And actually, you don't even have to do that. Just your team owner needs to do that once. And then anyone else on the team can create subscriptions for the types of events that they're interested in. So it's kind of like a set and forget configuration, which is really nice. And echoing what Melanie said, not just deploy state changes can be subscribed to, or form submissions, which we've had with the legacy webhook based system. But now anything that you can find in your team's audit log can be piped into any Slack channel that you choose to. So it's really cool way to stay on top of the ball of what's happening within your Netlify sites and teams.
Yeah, I think that like tedium is really something that we wanted to try to remove with the new like Netlify app for Slack. So we wanted to make like the process of subscribing to these new notifications like really simple, because we know like the configuration is not the work itself. Like you don't want to spend all day setting this stuff up. You just like want to get back to coding, get back to building, amazing experiences for your customers. So that's something we spent a lot of time on.
Yes, absolutely. So we've touched a bit on the different kinds of notifications you can configure, but as Melanie mentioned earlier, there's also this pretty cool functionality called Ask Netlify. JB, can you tell us a little bit more about that feature?
Absolutely. So you may have seen Ask Netlify on our doc site. Basically, it's like if ChatGPT was trained on how to get the most out of Netlify. So we feed Ask Netlify our docs content, blog content, forums posts within the last year to guarantee freshness. and then use RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation, to send relevant excerpts of those texts along with the user's prompt to GPT-4. And then we stream that response back to the user using our own Netlify Edge functions. So we've actually, that's Ask Netlify, like on our doc site, we've ported that functionality over to the Slack app. So within your own Slack workspace, you can ask Netlify a question and our AI chatbot will respond. It's really cool. All you have to do is tag Netlify, like @Netlify, in a message, and the bot will respond. It's kind of like having like just your own dedicated Netlify expert with you in your Slack channels, and other members of the team can like respond to it. It's all threaded, right? So it feels like having, like a Netlify expert on your own team.
That's amazing. So you don't have to take time out of somebody else's day or worry about context switching. You can just go ahead and ask Netlify and get an automatic answer, which is awesome. So Melanie, as a product marketer, I love seeing form submissions in my Slack feed so I can keep up with MQLs, especially when we're launching new campaigns. Can you tell us a little bit more about the form functions available?
Yeah, so form submission notifications are one of my favorites too. And lead generation is a big use case there. But another use case for Netlify Forms is to gather product feedback. So this is actually like a really cool inception moment that we build out with JV and other folks on the team. But we kind of lean on this ourselves, right? So when you connect to the Netlify app for Slack and you're receiving notifications, there's like a ... menu on the Netlify notification. You can click on this and then provide feedback either on that notification or on the app as a whole. And that actually like sends to a Netlify form that we have set up on a site. And then we had a subscription in our Slack instance to receive those form submissions. So it's like kind of this full circle where we're getting your feedback from Slack in Slack. And it's been like really fun because, we can see the feedback really quickly and iterate on it really quickly. And it's just been like kind of a good time,
That's awesome. So we've touched a little bit about on, some of the reasons behind why we built it and what it does. Joel, I would love to hear more about what your workflows look like at SmartCar.
Yeah. So like many development teams, we spend a lot of time trying to understand the value that we're about to bring to customers. And for us, getting that value in a timely fashion as fast as we can to our customers is very important. And so after, we've defined what that value is or how we're solving a specific problem for a customer, the development time, we have amazing engineers, but sometimes people think that that's if you make development faster, then everything is faster, and sometimes underestimate the release portion of it, right? So many teams spend time waiting on a release to be deployed, or like we talked about, that collaboration between the multiple teams to get the round of feedback. And I think that this is one of the most exciting things is like on the Slack application that you're introducing is that collaboration aspects between multiple teams and speeding up not just the development process, but the release process. And so for us, going from that development cycle to now the QA portion has been a huge time saver. So we essentially share the Netlify deploy previews and sort of like be able to log in. We have two different sites. We have a QA site and a production site. And so we're able to see the deployed previews for each one and get notifications on both of those, right? So I can, as a product manager, I can see that, okay, something is on the QA side is still, there are still rough edges, but I can still see that deploy preview and see what the direction is. And if it's something is now a deploy preview on a production side, I know that this is about to be in front of our customers. So we have to be more rigorous and look through those deploy previews. And so after those steps and notifications are done, we use a series of feature flags to introduce that new feature to customers and roll it out slowly. Sometimes it's a small change, so everything just goes out, and it's easy because with Netlify, if something is wrong, you can just roll it back. So that's a little bit of an overview of the process, but it's been a huge time saver.
That's awesome. So you talked a little bit about how this kind of helps each individual team and helps you gain efficiencies. I'm curious, how does shipping faster help SmartCar as a whole?
Yeah, so speaking back to that, delivering value to customers as fast as possible, right? We need that feedback to come back to us to see if we're on the right track, and so that collaboration and productivity is something that we put a lot of effort into to see, like, how can we effectively deliver something to customers that then they will comment back on and share with us how they're feeling about it, how they're interacting with it, and so the whole process to us feels like a game changer with being able to collaborate between these teams.
Thank you so much, Joel. Those are some amazing insights. I love hearing about real world use cases. So Melanie, for anyone who isn't yet convinced they should use this app to supercharge their team's workflows, what are some other ideas that might help spark some inspiration?
Yeah, excuse me. I'm excited about what these notification subscriptions can do for security and governance over like how a team uses Netlify. And if you use the word excited and security in the same sentence, you may be one of our people, right? But yeah, one use case that customers are excited about is the ability to kind of set up a purpose-built channel in Slack to track environment variable changes. So instead of having to like go in the audit log and like hunt for, like who changed this, when did they change that, so in case of any misconfigurations, you're just kind of getting a constant stream of things and you're like narrowing down on just that type of change. So, and speaking of misconfigurations, customers can also track changes to site or team configurations. So if something changed, you can know when it happened and get, notified about it. And then you can also monitor any updates to team membership, domains, DNS, those sorts of things. We know that these are really sensitive assets for our customers, and we want to give you the tools to really manage those securely without like making that a full-time job.
I love that. Those are all amazing reasons to implement this app for sure. So not just collaboration, but also for monitoring capabilities as well. And even as a marketer, as I mentioned previously, we use these notifications a lot in our everyday workflows to monitor things like form submissions for MQLs. So this app is great for cross-functional teams collaborating in real time, not just for technical people. And now let's go ahead and shift gears into a live action demo. And for that, I'm going to hand it over to JB.
Awesome. Let me share my screen here. And should be added. There we go. Awesome. So yeah, on the left, you will see my browser, which is looking at my Netlify team. And on the right, we have my team's Slack workspace. And I haven't configured the pairing between the two. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So if you're a team owner, what you're going to do is go down to team settings and over to notifications and just click this select workspace button. And what that does is that's going to pop up this little OAuth pop-up window here. If you're signed into multiple Slack workspaces, select the one that you'd like to connect to and just click allow. That does the OAuth dance and boom. You can see that, okay, this Netlify team is now associated with my Slack workspace, just like that. So now I'm going to add a subscription, and anyone on the team can do this. You can see that there are lots and lots of different event types that you can subscribe to. Now, this is on the team level. We also support this on the site level too. So if you want to have like site-specific notifications, just go over into your site configuration. So to start, I'm just going to subscribe to deploy state changes. On the team level, you're presented with this dropdown where I can like search for a site, but if you leave it blank, it subscribes to all sites within the purview of your team. You can get as granular as you want with deploy contexts and deploy state changes, right? Right now, I'm just going to subscribe to everything. And then you see a list of your channels, right? So this is pulled directly from your Slack workspace and dynamically populated. So I'm just going to create one here. And it already exists for that channel. How about that? So what's cool too, instead of in instead of in the web interface for creating a subscription, you can also create it right within Slack. So I can go over to do /Netlify here. And boom, it shows me the deploy state notification that I just created, right? So I can go in here and edit it and say, I actually want to just subscribe to production deploys here instead. And this configures it as well. So you can either configure your subscriptions in the web interface or right within Slack. And now the next time someone fires off a deploy, I think that's right. You start getting notifications for each deploy state change. So if it's starting, if it's building, if it's uploading, if it's ready, you have the capability of controlling exactly what you want to subscribe to. So that's deploy state notifications. It's a great way to keep your team all on the same page. But you can also subscribe to things like site configuration changes, which is really cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that again in the Netlify UI here. Maybe I'll do it on the site configuration actually. So we'll go to notifications. This is the team level notification here. So I'm gonna go to add a subscription and subscribe to site configuration changes and pipe it over to the webinar channel. And we'll see if it exists here. It's really cool because whenever you do /Netlify, it only shows to the person who creates the channel. So I can see, okay, site configuration changes are getting piped here. You can see now my previous deploy state change is ready. But if I go into, I don't know, let's say build and deploy. And if I change this to npm run build prod and save that, you can see that I just changed this to a new value. And what's really valuable here is you don't just see what the new value is, you see what it used to be, right? So it gives the team some context of what just changed. Now, maybe I can subscribe to like, let's create a new subscription of environment variable changes. And I'll do it just for that e-commerce site. So when I go to create a new environment variable, service API key, example, it tells everyone on my team that this new environment variable was created, right? So this kind of does away with feeling like each team member should on their own proactively inform everyone on their team, like, hey team, I just created this environment variable, this is what it's for, or maybe they're deleting it, right? Or changing the value. It kind of just automatically happens. And what's cool is I can then provide my team context in a thread right here in Slack. So this is for, XYZ, right? Just to give my team some context of what this environment variable is used for.
JB, I actually configured this specific notification for my team. From a security point of view, I think it's very valuable to understand when an environment variable change, speaking to those two different environments of QA and production earlier before, knowing that you're actually changing the one that you're supposed to and not breaking anything. It was very valuable for us too.
Nice. Oh, good. That's awesome to hear. So that's kind of like how real-time notifications work, but I want to show you Ask Netlify. So I'm just going to type in @Netlify, and it pre-populates here, and ask a question like, what's the default duration of a Netlify function before it times out? And you can see immediately I get like a response that the question has been acknowledged. And unfortunately, you can't stream directly into Slack. So this is kind of like our ACK, so to speak. And then you get the answer right here, right? So this is all powered by scraping through lots of excerpts on our docs, blogs, forum posts, etc., and then sent over to OpenAI, who generates a response. So you can see here the default time is 10 seconds, but if you reach out to Netlify support, you can extend that to 26 seconds. So it's a really cool way to get quick answers that you might have to questions about Netlify. And there's some feedback here too. Please click on this. It helps our responses get better. So that's really cool. And there's one more thing. It's not really a one more thing. It's more of a fun fact. But did you know that the Netlify app for Slack was built entirely on Netlify? That's right. We use Netlify to build Netlify a lot here at Netlify. So this entire Slack app is serverless, right? It's all lives in Netlify functions. We use Slack's Bolt.js framework, and yeah, configure that within a Netlify site. So this entire experience is running on a Netlify site that is all serverless, which makes maintenance super easy. It helps us all sleep at night. We also use edge functions to stream some of these Ask Netlify responses, or not stream, but kind of query for them, because generating a response can take a while depending on how much content is included in the answer. So yeah, we dog food a lot of our own products in building this. We're also using the log drains feature of Netlify for streaming logs, so we can see what our error rate is on messages. If there's a certain bug, we get notified right away. And to echo what Melanie said earlier about leaving feedback, I think I can show that here actually. So this is the triple dot menu that Melanie was alluding to earlier. If you click on that and say leave feedback, you get a little text area here that lets us know what you think, or if you have any feature requests or things like that. Filling this out and clicking submit actually creates a form submission on the Netlify site that runs the Netlify app for Slack and pipes it into our own internal Slack channels. So it really is Netlify all the way down. Not really, but it goes to show you the power of the Netlify platform and what you can do with it. So yeah, that concludes this demo.
Awesome. Thank you so much, JB. I love hearing that we are drinking our own champagne here at Netlify, and thank you for those super impressive live demo skills. I don't know many people that could pull that off, so props, JB. And with that, we've got about 3.5 minutes for questions. We may be able to go over if y'all have some burning questions, so no worries there. So let's go ahead and move into the QA portion of this session. All right, first question. Do we have a question? Oh, hold on. We're loading it. 1 second, y'all. Please be patient.
While that loads, I do have a question for JB. You mentioned that the feedback form inside of Slack actually creates a form submission, and I'm curious if you can share a little bit more details about that. How does that happen?
Sure. Yeah. So we actually make an API request. Our docs cover it pretty well, so I'm sure you can ask Netlify this question too.
Yes.
Yeah, we basically make an API request to the form on the site. So what we do is we create basically a dummy form that we include in the public directory of the site, and that gives the form a name and the fields that it expects. And then we send a post request using a special API token. And that essentially acts the same as if you would fill out a form on the web. Awesome. So it uses that application like form content type, and yeah, then we're able to see it. So it's a real form, right? So you will see it in your site, in your UI, right? So you can look there. That would have been a good thing to show too. But like if you drill into your Netlify UI, you can see all the form submissions there as well. So it doesn't just get piped into the Slack channel. It's a real form object that exists in our database and everything. So
very clever.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, thank y'all. Okay, with that, we will move on to our next question. So what is the minimal subscription to have the Slack app available? I believe this would be a great one for you, Melanie.
Yeah, so on Netlify, you would just need a pro plan or above for our like usual, subscriptions. There's always, special types of plans as well, like open source is a good example. So those are the Slack app is available to those as well. But yeah, pro or above.
Awesome. And this one is from Tip. So what is each of your favorite ways to use the app? So we'll go ahead and we'll start with JB, then we'll go to Joel, and then we'll go to Melanie.
Yeah. So this is like a pro tip. One of my favorite ways is I create a private channel, right? And then I prefix all of my branch names with JB. And I have a Slack subscription. So like in Slack's preferences, you can have it alert if there are certain keywords used in a message. So I have one for JB slash, right? So then I can get a little ping and I can change whatever sound effect I want that says, okay, I know that means that my deploy is ready, right? So it's kind of like it uses a keyword in the automated message that you configure, but it pipes to a private Slack channel so that I'm not really bothering anyone else. So yeah, that's kind of like a cool little pro tip.
That's awesome. That's a very cool pro tip. I have a few, but I think one of my favorites is I can snoop into what's going on historically. It's also like a very good for historical reasons, but I was talking about Snoopy, but actually can go back in time because all the notifications are in the channel. So if I am building sort of like, hey, what went out this week, I can essentially go back and see like all of the notifications and sort of have a stream of like deploy logs, if you will. That's handy, very handy. So that's one.
That's brilliant.
Nice. I'm inspired by this conversation. I feel like I'm going to have a new favorite use soon. So yeah, for me, I mean, the form submissions again are just super awesome. Like as a product manager, it's like feedback is a gift. So like just kind of seeing that come in and being able to, jump on it right away feels really exciting. And speaking of snooping, NVARs is a great one to kind of see. I just love seeing the team like interact with each other and like help each other and support each other. Netlifolk, as we call them, are just a great group of people, and everybody has each other's backs. So it's just kind of cool to see like that kind of engagement of like, hey, here's the sunbar that changed, and I'm like making sure everybody knows about it. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
I think my favorite, besides just the form submissions that we've talked about, is definitely seeing the comments in the Netlify drawer and then being able to see like when landing pages go live. Because I think traditionally it would be like, let me Slack this person, and then this person needs to Slack this person. And it's kind of like this chain of like, Joel, you're talking about like just a lot of time wasted and a lot of like opportunity that we could have been doing like way more exciting, cool things. So I just love the ability to like that real time, like this landing page went live, here's the edits and the feedback. And then we can just really iterate super quickly as a marketing team, which is a game changer. So I know we're over time, but we do have one last question. If y'all can hang out with me for a couple more minutes. So last question before we wrap up. How secure are the API tokens not to be seen by non-qualified technicians?
Thank you for asking this question, Gotronics. Yes, so everything we send to Slack, we never send the values of any environment variable. So this whole time when we've been talking about environment variables that like pipe over to a Slack channel, all you see are the key names. So it just gives you the team context of what changed without leaking any sensitive data or anything like that. So yeah, to reiterate, only the key names get sent to Slack, never the values.
Awesome. Yes, we take security seriously here at Netlify. So then with that is a wrap for today's session. So thank you everyone for joining us, and huge thank you to Joel, JB, and Melanie. Until next time, cheers.